Good evening to you, dear students. This video is meant only for class 10th D because all the other sections I have completed syllabus. In case somebody finds it difficult, it may be of some help. Both the shifts seem to have reached page number 99. So I'll just start from page number 99 and complete it. So we have seen how Sibia was working along with her mother and other women, and her imagination went back to her childhood days. She was playing with her friends when she was a child on the bank of the river. So while she's recalling those things, the mother calls her back, calls her attention back, and she comes back to work. Page number 99. In those cavelets above the high water mark of the highest flood, she had stored some little bowls molded of clay while they hardened. If there were anything that could be used for coloring, they would look fine, painted with marigolds and elephants. So she wanted to go back to that cave, those caves, and see whether whatever items they made when they were children, they are still remaining there. If they are still there and they are good enough, she wanted to paint them with some pictures of animals or flowers. Marigold, a flower, or elephant, an animal. Meanwhile, the mother sees that the presence of the child is not there. She was not attentive. She calls her child. Then she returns. The sharp word, the glare of her mother's angry, sweating face pulled Sibia back to work, and they toiled on. They continued to work. Toil on means continue to work hard. So when mother called her back child, she came back and again started to work. But at last it was time to go back to see to their animals and the evening meal. The loaded women set out to cross the river again. So the work is over. The day's work is over. They have tied up the grass and got it loaded. Now they are moving ahead towards the river to cross over. Sibia hung back. She would just dawdle a bit and run and see if the little clay cups were still there in the cave, waiting to be painted and used. This is an important passage. A lot of questions seem to have formed on this. Sibia hung back, Hungback. Hang back means stay back. Sibia stayed back. Other women went off, including her mother, but Sibia stayed back. Why? She would just dawdle a bit and run and see if the little clay cups were still there. D-A-W-D-L-E. Dawdle means slow down. She'll slow down a little bit, and then when everybody is gone, she will run to the cave and see if those cups are still there. If they are there, she wanted to see whether they could be painted. So why did Sibia stay back? She wanted to go to the cave to find out those cups which she played with the other children when she was small are still there or not. If they are there, she wanted to get them painted. Although the women were now tired and loaded, they still talked. Those in front yelled to those behind. They crossed the river safely and disappeared up the track into the trees on the other side. Even their voices died away. This passage is not that much important. They were making noise. Yelled, Y-E-L-L-E-D. Yelled means to shout loudly. So women were shouting loudly and making noise while going back, crossing the river. You know the reason for their making noise, because noise frightens the crocodiles. So they made noise and they crossed over and they disappeared. Silence fell. There was silence all over. Sibia came down alone to the stepping stones. Now all the others are gone, including her mother. Only Sibia is there. So Sibia came down alone to the stepping stone. The light of evening was striking up the gorge, pink into the ultraviolet shadows. Now that the sun was off it, the water poured almost invisible among the stones, with no reflection to show where it began. There's nothing much important in this paragraph. The paragraph is saying that sun was already set, and it was just sun was sinking into the gorge. Gorge. Gorge means valley. It is going down the valley. As a result, the river and the surrounding area was looking very dark in the absence of the sun. Only that much. Sibia stepped onto the first stone. Sibia stepped onto the first stepping stone. She was heavily weighted, her muscles stretched and aching. The hair fork squeaked in the packed dry grass and dug into her collarbone, so close under the skin, in spite of the sari bunched up to make a pad. Or one or two meanings you may be not very familiar with. Squeaked. Squeaked is a sound. It's a high-pitched sound made. And then what else is there? Hair fork you already know. Bunch up. Bunched up means to, suppose in the market people carry heavy loads. When the load is very heavy, what do? They take the towel and fold it, roll into and keep it under on the head, and on that they carry the weight so that their head is not pressed or head is not hurt. So that is called bunched up. So Sibia had folded her sari and bunched it up here so that the burden does not affect her. But in spite of that, the hair fork, after tying the grass, they keep the hair fork just on the top of the bundle. So that was just coming and almost touching the collarbone. It's a collarbone. Almost touching the collarbone of her and little bit paining. Her body was heavily weighted. Heavily weighted means weighed. W-E-I-G-H-E-I-G-H-E-D. Weighed. Having great weight because of the grass, and her body was aching. That's all. When she was halfway over, she put her load down on a big boulder to rest and leaned, breathing on the fork. So when she reached halfway of the river, she crossed only halfway. Then she stopped and unloaded on a big boulder, on a big stone which is almost close to her height. She unloaded it and kept it there. Page number 100. At the same moment, a Gujar woman came down with 2 gurras to the water on the other side. In order to get the good, clear water, which would quickly fill both gurras to the top without sand, she walked onto the stepping stones. So this time, just when Sibia unloaded herself, the load of grass into a huge stone, at the same time a Gujar woman came down to the river to collect water. So she had 2 gurras. Gurras are pots, 2 pots. So if you are going to collect water from the very close to the bank, she cannot fill both the pots easily because water is less. Also there will be sand coming into the pot. So she goes still further, little further, and goes to the first stepping stone and starts to collect water, filling both her pots at the same time. She was within a yard of the crocodile when he lunged at her. Lunged. Lunged is past tense. Lunge at means to jump at. Jump at. So it was very, very, very close to the crocodile. Crocodile was lying down, it was standing on tiptoe waiting for the prey. It was very close to that place. The moment the woman was filling the water, the crocodile jumped at the woman. Up out of the darkling water heaved a great reptile, water slushing off him, his livid jaws yawning and all his teeth flashing as he slashed at her leg. A few words which may be difficult. Darkling water means darkling, becoming dark. Sun was already disappearing and the water was becoming dark. Heaved the great reptile. Heave means breathe heavily. It breathed heavily. The great reptile. Water slushing off him. As the crocodile came up, water just went off its body. His livid jaws yawning. Is yawning. Yawning means, open your mouth wide. That's yawning. When you are tired, you open your mouth, and if somebody sees, they also may yawn it. So yawn means to open your mouth wide. Normal yawning is for oxygen. Here it is, the crocodile is opening his mouth to catch the prey. That is the Gujaroman. And all his teeth flashing. Flashing is shining. All his teeth was shining when he opened the mouth and slashed at her leg. The crocodile slashed at her leg with the teeth. Slash means it's a sweeping movement. So opened his mouth like that. It caught hold of. The woman screamed, dropped both brass pots with a clatter on the boulder, from whence they bounced to the water, and Sibia saw them bob away in the current. Oh, the two good vessels gone. So the moment the crocodile caught hold of her, the Gujar woman, she dropped both the pots. The pots fell to the rock with a sound. So when the rock falls on the rock, that sound is called clatter, C-L-A-T-T-R. Clatter on the boulder. From where they bounced to the water. It jumped into the water. Jumped into the water, and Sibia saw them bob away. Bob away means disappear fast. Disappear. Go out of sight in a fast movement. That's called bob. So bob away in the current. And when she saw the two gurras, two pots disappearing in the water, getting lost, immediate expression of Sibia was, oh, the two vessels gone. What a pity, the two vessels gone. Because she was so poor. This is given in italics. Oh, the two good vessels gone. That's given in italics. That is to stress the poverty element of the child. The child was so poor. You remember that she was using the needle. She made it red hot in the oven, and she was trying to pierce to make a necklace, piercing the bead to make necklace, and it broke. Then she had to wait for the family needle to buy again. Family had only one needle, she had to wait for another. Such was the poverty of the child. Now, when she saw two brass pots being carried away by the water, she said, what a pity, the two good vessels are gone. So that expression speaks about the poverty of the child. The Gujar woman recoiled from the crocodile, but his jaws closed on her leg at the same moment as she slipped and fell on the bone-breaking stone and clutched one of the timber logs to save herself. The Gujar woman recoiled from the crocodile, move away, recoiled. The woman recoiled from the crocodile. The crocodile was trying to jump at her, and she tried to move away from the crocodile. But his jaws closed on her leg at the same moment as she slipped and fell on the bone-breaking stone. In that hurry. She fell. She lost her balance and she fell to the bone-breaking stone. Bone-breaking stone means stones which are very hard, which can break your bone. She fell to the stone, bone-breaking stone, and clutched one of the timber logs to save herself. Timber logs. Timber logs is wood. She caught hold of one of the wood. We were already told that the crocodiles were staying close to it. So timber is wood. So we are already told the crocodile is staying on tiptoe near the collection of wood. So she caught hold of one of the wood to balance herself. The log jammed between two boulders with the woman clinging to it and screaming while the crocodile pulled on her leg, threshing his mighty tail, bang, bang, to and fro in great smacking flails, as he tried to drag her free and carry her off down into the deeps of the pool. Blood spread everywhere. The log jammed between two boulders. So the wood which she was holding on to was between two stones and she was trying to balance herself. And the woman was clinging to it, clinging to the wood and screaming. Scream means to cry loudly. While the crocodile pulled on her leg, threshing his mighty tail. Threshing is hitting his mighty tail in the water. Bang, bang. Crocodile's tails are so powerful. I already told you. So with the tail it was banging on the river, on the water, this way and that way. To and fro in great smacking flails as he tried to drag her free and carry her off down into the deeps of the pool. So the crocodile was trying to pull her into the deep water, because if the crocodile takes her to deep water, it's very safe for him. He can start eating. Safe. And the woman was trying to pull the other side to save herself. To and fro. This and that side. To and fro. And there was a blood spread everywhere. Sibia sprang. Sprang, S-P-R-A-G. Sprang means jumped. You remember that Sibia was looking at the pot which was gone and regretting. She did not realize that time maybe what is happening to the woman. Once she realized that the woman is being attacked by the crocodile, she jumped into action. From boulder to boulder she came leaping like a rock goat. Sometimes it had seemed difficult to cross these stones, especially the big gap in the middle, where the river coursed through like a bulge of glass. But now she came on wings, choosing her footing in midair without even thinking about it, and in one moment she was beside the shrieking woman. So now she jumped and started to leap like a rock goat. Rock goat is a wild goat or a forest goat. Very sturdy, very strong. It can climb rocks. That's why they are called rock goats. So she went like a rock goat very fast towards the woman, towards the crocodile. Sometimes it had seemed difficult to cross these stones, especially the big gap in the middle where the river coursed through like a bulge of glass. There are some areas of the river where the river is spread little bit because river takes a diversion. River divides itself into two parts and again it will come and join. So that area will be little bigger, broader area, and it was difficult for her to cross over. So she crossed over that also. But now she came on wings, choosing her footing in mid-air without even thinking about it. So she was on wings. She was on wings means, came on wings means move as if she is having wings. Sibia came on wings means Sibia was moving as if she had wings and she is flying. And she was trying to taking the steps in the air. Just trying to put your steps in the air and take it and leap. That means to say she went extremely fast she went. And in one moment she was beside the shrieking woman. Shrieking means crying, shouting or crying loudly. So woman was crying loudly. Within no time, Sibia was there beside the woman to help her out. In the boiling bloody water, the face of the crocodile fastened round her leg was tugging to and fro and smiling. The boiling bloody water. The water was already turning into red because of the blood coming out of the woman's leg. And the face of the crocodile fastened round her leg. Crocodile was just with the teeth and the mouth holding on to the leg of the woman. And they were pulling each other. The woman is trying to save herself, pulling to the outside, go to the river, towards the bank of the river, and the crocodile was pulling her leg into the deep water, to and fro. And the crocodile was smiling. Why did the crocodile smile? Because it was got a nice prey, something to eat for so many days. It was extremely happy. And the woman was screaming because her leg is in the mouth of the crocodile, biting into it. Very painful. Page number 101. His eyes rolled on to Sibia. One slap of the tail could kill her. So by the time Sibia reached, and the crocodile looked at Sibia intensely. Just one flap, one beat of the crocodile's tail would have been sufficient enough to kill Sibia. But Sibia was not scared. She was not afraid. He struck, crocodile struck, up shot the water 20 feet and fell like a silver chain. So the crocodile with its tail struck, beat the water, and the water went up 20 feet so high and fell like a silver chain. Like a silver chain. Again, the crocodile beat the water once again. The rock jumped under the blow. The rocks all around, they were jumping, shivering. Such powerful beating. But in the daily heroism of the jungle, as common as the thorn tree, Sibia have no doubt, have no fear. Sibia had no fear at all, because she was used to the daily heroism of the forest. Being a jungly and living in the jungle, she was used to a lot of heroic activity every day. So this facing the crocodile was just like walking over a thorny bush or a thorny tree. She took it very lightly. She aimed at the reptile's eyes. She aimed at the reptile's eyes. I had already told you, and we are done in the beginning, the crocodiles have a thick armor. Their skin was very thick. So thick that nothing can pierce, not even bullets can pierce. If you shoot at it with a bullet, with a rifle, the bullet will come and hit back. Such was powerful body, the skin of the crocodile. Only two parts of the crocodiles were vulnerable. That is soft. One was the eyes and another one's the armpit. Only eyes and armpits were the only places where it was soft. So she aimed at the reptile's eyes. Sibia knew that. So she aimed at the eye of the crocodile. With all the force in her little body, she drove the hair fork at the eyes, and one prong went in, right in, while its pair scratched past on the horny cheek. So she aimed at the crocodile with the hair fork in the eye of the crocodile and pierced it. One went in. Right in means very deep into the eye. One prong. Prong is, the fork is there. Each one is called a prong. This is a prong, this is another prong. One prong went inside the eye, very much inside. Another one just to brush the face of the crocodile, which was very rough. The crocodile reared up in convulsion till half his lizard body was out of the river. the tail and nose nearly meeting over his stony back. Then he crashed back, exploding the water, and in an uproar of bloody foam, he disappeared. So this poking the crocodile with the hay fork affected the crocodile so much. It reared up means raised its body in convulsion, in shivering. Body was shivering and raised it up. Till half his lizard body was out of the water. Half of the body was outside already. The tail and nose nearly meeting over his stony back. So his head turned back in convulsion, in pain. Then he crashed back. Crashed back means fell back. It fell back, exploding the water. Exploding means breaking. The bomb exploded. Means break with a huge noise and it's called exploding. Exploded. So the water exploded and in an uproar of bloody foam he disappeared. Uproar is shouting angrily. Uproar is shouting angrily. The crocodile was very angry and very paining. So it shouted angrily and bloody foam. Of bloody foam he disappeared. Bloody foam means foam made of blood. What is foam? F-O-A-M, foam. Foams are bubbles. Foam is bubble. Foam is bubbles. Suppose you take some water and soap water. You put the soap water into the soap water in a bucket and pour water into it. On the top of it you will find bubbles. Or you see some children, they have some kind of small machine like thing. You keep it in the mouth and blow air, then bubbles will come out. So the bubbles will go into the air and slowly then afterwards it will break. So the blood was oozing down, oozing out of the eye, and it formed a foam, F-O-A-M, foam. So bubbles were formed and the crocodile disappeared. Crocodile went out of the sight into the deep water. He would die, not yet but presently, though his death would not be known for days, not until his stomach, blown with gas, floated him. So the author says that the crocodile will die. Now it is not dead, now it is alive. It will die. When? After few days. So when will we know? When will others come to know that the crocodile is dead? Only when its body floats. Normally when human beings or animals, when they die, the body is heavy, so it will go down. Afterwards, your stomach will be filled with a lot of gases. That's a chemical process or biological process. So when the stomach is filled with a lot of gases, gas is light, so it will float. So when it floats, the belly will be up. When crocodile normally moves in the water, the hard skin will be on the top. But when once it's dead, when it floats, float means to remain on the water. When it comes to the top of the water, the belly will be up, and the skin will be underneath. So after the death of the crocodile, the dead body of the crocodile will float. Which part of the body will be up? The belly will be up. Only then we will come to know that the crocodile is dead. Then perhaps he would be found upside down among the logs at the timber boom with pus in his eye. So timber boom is a kind of a barrier or a fence made to collect the wood, to stop the wood. Here the rocks have become the barriers to stop the wood. So at that place the body will come up and there will be pus in the eyes of the crocodile. What is pus? Pus is a yellowish white formation when you have a wound. Suppose you are cutting vegetable and your hand gets hurt. You cut the finger. Then next day, if the cut is deep, you will find there is some whitish yellow or yellowish white thing formed. That is because of the inflammation, work of the bacteria. So there will be pus formed in the eyes of the crocodile where it was pierced. Only then we come to know that the crocodile is dead. We will go to next paragraph. Sivia got her arms round the fainting woman and somehow dragged her from the water. She stopped her wounds with sand and bound them with rag and helped her home to the Gujar encampment, where the men made a litter to carry her to someone for treatment. So Sivia was very courageous. She did not stop with this action. She saw that woman is almost fainting. To faint means to become unconscious. You see at the assembly, morning assembly, some students suddenly falling off. They are standing in the sun, maybe because they do not have sufficient breakfast or they are little weak, they will become unconscious. They fall unconscious. Lose conscience means that is the meaning of fainting. To faint means to lose conscience. So the woman was losing conscience. So she went there and caught hold of her and somehow dragged her. Because Sivia is only 12 years old, the woman is very big. So he dragged her. Drag means pulled her to the bank of the river, and there she dressed up her wound. So what do they do in villages when somebody is wounded? They'll put some clay, mud in the wound and tie it up. Here only sand was available, so Sivia kept some sand in the wound to stop the bleeding. Afterwards she carried her to the camp, the encampment of the Gujars. And there some men took her to the hospital, to the doctor, using a litter. L-I-T-T-E-R. Litter is a frame. Like you have stretcher in the hospital. If you are taking a patient by ambulance to the hospital, immediately the nurses and others will bring a stretcher and carry you to inside. So similarly, in those days they used to use a frame, something like a cot where you lie down. C-O-T, cot. So it's a frame like thing. They make the patient to lie. Then 4 people or 5 people, they'll carry the patient. So they took her to the doctor. Then Sivia went back for her grass and sickle and fork. She had left everything there. Her whole concentration was on the woman, saving the woman, saving act. So she had left the grass, the sickle and the hay fork there. So now she goes to collect them. The fork was lying in the river, not carried away luckily, and as she bent to pick it up out of the water, she saw the blue bead. So she goes now to pick up the hay fork, which was in the water. Luckily it was not carried away in the current of the water, it was there. When she bent down to pick it up, she saw the blue bead. Not blue now, with the sun nearly gone, but a no-color white blue, and its shape bobbling in the movement of the water. Bobbling, W-O-B-B-L-I-N-G. Bobbling means move unsteadily, not steady, not constant. Move unsteadily, because the water is wavering. Water is moving like a small wave-like movement, and this was also bobbling, unsteady movement. So it had no color because the sun had disappeared. It is a sun rays that gives, or it is a light which gives shining to any pearl or anything of that sort. Either artificial light or sunlight. Sun had disappeared. Therefore, it was of no color. And it was literally shaking like in the water. She reached her arm down into the yard of the cold silk water to get it, missing it first of all because of refraction. You know what refraction is in physics. Refraction is something to do with the light traveling and the thing. So for example, a stick in the water, it is straight, but when you look at it, it looks like bend. That is because of refraction. So she tried to put her hand down and collect the gem. She couldn't get it, blue bead. Because of refraction, she lost it. But next time she was able to get at it. Then there it lay in her wet palm, perfect, even pierced, ready for use, with the sunset shuffled about inside it like gold dust. So, second time she managed to get it and she kept it on her palm. And she just looked at it. Perfect, excellent. And even pierced, ready for use. There was a little hole. So she can just, already her necklace is there. She's making a necklace also. So she can just, the thread can be just taken through that hole and the blue bead will become part of her necklace. So she was extremely happy. shuffled. Shuffled means spread. The sunset shuffled about inside it, spread inside. And it was looking very good, looking like a gold dust. All her heart went up in flames of joy. All her heart went up in flames of joy means she was overjoyed, extremely happy because she got a blue bead which she always looked for, which she could rarely get. So she was overjoyed. After a bit, she twisted it into the top of her skirt against her tummy so she would know if it burst through the poor cloth and fell. Okay? So she took it and tied it into her old rag, old cloth. We are already told that her clothes were torn. So she was afraid that it may slip off. So as a result, what did she do? She just kept it, twisted it and kept it close to her tummy, means belly. Very close to her belly. She inserted it so that it will not fall off. It will be safe. Then she picked up her fork and sickle and the heavy grass and set off home. Aye, what a day. Then she took up her grass, her fork and the sickle and started to go home. And she was almost singing, aye, what a day. She was extremely happy. Her bare feet smudged out the wriggle mark of snakes in the dust. There was the thin singing of malaria mosquitoes among the trees now. And this track was much used at night by a morose old Macknaw elephant, the tuskless one. But Sivia was not thinking of any of them. The stars came out, she noticed. So now she is going through the path, smudged. Smudged means rubbed off, rub off, R-U-B, rub off. Out to wriggle mark. Wriggle mark is the mark made by snake. We are already told it was a dusty path. When the snake moves like this, zigzag movement. When the snake moves, it makes some marks in the dust. So the dust, snake has already gone, the marks were there. Now Sibia walks on that. So it was rubbed off. So Sibia does not look at each mark and rub it off. She walked on the mark made by the snake and it was rubbed off. That's all. There was the thin singing of malaria mosquitoes, the mosquitoes which spread malaria. They were singing, they were hiding in the trees, among the bushes, on the leaves. Now they started to come out and they were singing. But Sibia did not bother about it. And there was Macknaw elephant, which was morose. Morose is ill-tempered or bad-tempered, very angry. An angry elephant was there. Macknaw elephants are tuskless ones. Normally, elephants have got tusks. We call it, for the elephant alone, we say it tusk because it's coming from the teeth. So, male elephants have tusks. But in particular elephants called Macknaws, they do not have tusk. The tuskless male elephants are called Macknaws. So this elephant, one of the Macknaw elephant, was very angry, very violent. It used to cross the same way. But that not bothered. So what the paragraph is trying to say, Sibia was walking through a path which was very dangerous. Where there are snakes, it could bite. Sibia was not worried about it. It was a place there are mosquitoes which spread malaria were frequently moving around. That also did not worry Sibia. And then there was a Macknaw elephant which was very angry, very ill-tempered, that used to cross the way. Even that was not of any concern to Sibia. Why? Her whole concern was about the blue bead. She got a blue bead, a rare thing. So she was preoccupied with that, and in that joy, all these things were not a botheration for her at all. Okay? On the way back, she met her mother, out of breath, come to look for her and scolding. So when she was going, Sibia was going towards house, mother comes in search of her. Because mother, when she reached there, she realized she was not there. I did not see till I was home that you were not there. Mother says, only when I reached home I realized that you were not with me. You are not in the group. So I have come looking for you. I thought something must have happened to you. I was really scared. Something must have happened. Maybe a snake bitten. Maybe the morose Makna elephant attacked. Or maybe some other animal attacking. Or something must have happened, I thought. And Sibia, bursting with her story, cried, something did. I found a blue bead for my necklace. Look. Sibia said, yes. You thought something happened to me? Yes, something did happen. See, look here. I got a wonderful blue bead. It can be used for my necklace. So I'll conclude it with saying, going back to the introduction on page number 92, last paragraph, the author says about speaking about the author and the poem. The story ends on a note of dramatic irony when Sibia exclaims, something did. I found a blue bead for my necklace. Look. What is the dramatic irony? Irony is it's like you are saying something meaning something else. Or something expected to happen that is not happening, something else is happening. So when mother asked her, why are you late? I thought something happened to you. What should have been the actual reply of Sibia? Sibia said, mother, you know what happened? Today when I was carrying the grass and coming, I saw one crocodile attacking a woman. And I leaped, jumped so fast, went fast, close there, and fought with the crocodile and almost killed it. Very adventurous thing I did. Then I carried the woman up to the camp and entrusted to her people. So I saved one life. This is what she should have said. But she did not say that. That is, should have said. Normally expected of. The irony is that she said, I got a blue bead. A wonderful blue bead. So Sibia was such a nice girl, poor girl. She was not worried about the great things she did. That is nothing for her because it's one of the adventurous things she was doing every day. What she found joy in was having a blue bead. That is dramatic irony. Okay? So that's sufficient. Thank you. All the best.